Hello and welcome to another episode of BZG's Talking Shit. My name is Barrett Courtney, as always, I am your host. And here, joined with me, are my great co-hosts and even better friends, the bisexist from Texas, Henry Montiero. What's up, Henry? How you doing today? Cool. And in between us is my favorite chunky punk, Ricky Baldazan. What's up, Ricky? How you doing today? If you don't know what we do here at Talking Shit, one of us brings in a topic of discussion, and then we talk some shit about it.
And we make Barrett's life a living hell.
Yeah. In yesterday's episode of Talking Shit, got my ass kicked in fucking
Video game trivia.
In video game trivia. And then next week, Ricky and I will go at it, see who's the worst. But today, the topic of discussion comes from Henry. Henry, what do you want to talk about this week?
So, as our viewers may know, we have a mutual friend of ours, a one Quentin Berenger.
A one Quentin Berenger. He was a guest on our Let's Play for Super Mario Maker.
Yep.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah. And recently, he told me that he really wishes that he could get into comics.
Okay.
And so, that's the topic that I'm bringing in. How would you recommend is the best way of where to start with comics and reading them?
Yeah,
Humming
that's
is
a tough one.
Humming.
Because you got like so many variety of comics, you know. Like because I know Quentin doesn't really care that much about like superheroes, you know. I would say like a good comic to read would be Scott Pilgrim versus the World, like the Scott Pilgrim series. I think that would be like a good place to start because it's silly enough and it's out there enough that could get general audiences into comics.
I'll tell you, the comic that I lent to him is like, because I was like, you want to get into like mainstream comics, this is the best place to start.
What?
I lent him my Volume 1 hardcover of Ultimate Spider-Man.
Ultimate Spider-Man is a good one because Ultimate Spider-Man is what got me into a heavy comic reader. Yeah. Where I was actually like going every week to places to not only get Ultimate Spider-Man but to get other things. I had read comics beforehand, but that was like the first series where I was like, oh, I want to read more of this. Yeah. So yeah, that's actually a really. Has he gotten back to you? See, if
not yet. He still has it at his house.
Okay.
But so like my idea for this topic was just like, not just for Quentin, but like.
Just in general,
any
like,
comics that we think like if you want to get into like comics as a medium, like to understand them, to get the quirks and idiosyncrasies of the comic and world, like what are the best comics for that?
Again, I would say Scott Pilgrim, and I think if you do like the sort of superhero route, Ultimate Spider-Man would be a good one. And
if you're trying to go like darker, Watchmen is like
Watchmen is like a classic. I don't know if that's a good intro though.
It is based around like deconstructing classic comic book tropes.
Yeah, and so
it is like also if like you want to just go in fucking head first and start.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if that's a good like intro to like like for someone who like never reads comics. I don't know if Watchmen is like the best one though.
I think Long Halloween's a good one.
Yeah, that was my advice. Like anything by Jeff Loeb, at least in his good period with like Tim Sale, is excellent like first comic reading because he has a writing style that makes his work like so intrinsically readable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when I read Alan Moore, I get like stuck in his paragraphs. Like, hold on, what? Let me understand this. Oh crap, now I have to start over again. And Jeff Loeb's writing like goes straight in one direction, and it works really well for his writing.
I would say a good one, if you want to start off fresh and be sort of up to date with like modern comics, like a good one would be like the New 52 Batman, Court of Owls.
Why am I not surprised?
Because it's not like a retelling of his origin or anything. That's 0 year. That's like in the continuity of New 52.
You don't need Batman's origin at this point.
Yeah, like you fucking know it. Bruce Wayne's parents die.
It's like if you pick up a Superman comic and it's like, where did he begin? It's like, shut up.
I would start in general with like the New 52 Batman series. It's just, I said Court of Owls because that's the first story that they do. I would say that in general because that's a good place to start if you want to like read like what good modern comics are like. Because I was a guest on Comics and Joysticks, and they're talking about a lot of like modern comics. I was like, oh, shit, I don't really read a lot of these. You know, like they're talking about like the new Black Panther comic that's coming out and like other Marvel stuff. And I was like, the only thing that I keep up with modern comics is New 52 Batman.
Not even like the whole universe, Batman like series, just
not
the
even
one main
just
line.
Batman.
Because it's the only one really worth reading ever since Grant Morrison left Batman Incorporated.
Yeah. I think the straightforward Hellboy run is a pretty good one.
I know a lot of people get into comics through like reading Hellboy.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't like, if someone doesn't like superheroes, Hellboy's like the next most mainstream option.
I don't want to turn this into like the best comics of all time, because I think some great comics aren't probably like the best for people to start out with. Yeah. Well, what do you guys think about Daredevil, the Man Without Fear run? Do you think that would be a good intro?
I think that's like really good.
I'm not even a big fan of like that story, mostly because I really don't like John Romita Jr.'s art.
Yeah.
Everything he does is like a little too blocky. Yeah. And this is coming from someone who loves Frank Miller's art.
Yeah. And Tim Sale.
Yeah. So like it's a good story to like get started with Daredevil. And then after that, like go back and read Born Again. Because that's a really good comic. And I recommend that.
Okay.
Batman Year One, I'd also recommend. I think it holds up.
I just have my own personal problems with it, but well, it's not like I hate it. It's in my like top 10 Batman comics, but I would say that's a good start if you want to get more of like a human perspective on like the DC universe, because that's more centered around I feel Gordon and Batman. I'm
gonna say this, even though pretty much everyone here knows how much it hurts me to say this. But a good place to start off with comics is some of Mark Miller's work.
But that's the thing, is like it's so out there and so sort of mainstream that it could pull in someone who's not really into comics yet.
If I haven't mentioned this before, I despise Mark Miller and everything he writes. I think he's a bullshit writer. And that I always feel like he's the Stan Lee of this generation. Because, like, he has these great, amazing ideas, but he can't write to save his life. But while Stan Lee's bad writing is, like, charming. And, like, you can't not love Stan Lee's writing. Because it's just like, wow, webhead.
Well, that was just a different time.
Yeah. Mark Miller is just like, come on, shithead. Stuff like that. But it's like, I will say, if you want to get into comics, a good place to start off with would be something like Kick-Ass. Yeah. Or like The Ultimates.
Ultimates is a good one. Like I would start off with and even some more newer, like more recent series.
That actually makes my stomach hurt to recommend Mark Miller.
You just got a bunch of
no, it actually hurts.
I would shit. It lost me. What's the one about the kids who are superheroes and their parents are supervillains?
Invincible?
Yeah. I would recommend that. I think that's an interesting story.
Another good one with like younger kids who are superheroes. Not you just said that. Runaways. Brian K. Vaughan.
Not Invincible.
What?
Huh?
Yeah.
Well, what's Runaways about?
I've never actually read it. But I know people who have gotten into like comics through that.
I don't know, but I know a guy. And he said he's pretty cool.
Like there are really good comic book writers that are not meant to start out with. Like imagine someone being like, I want to read comics, and the first thing they pick up is by Warren Ellis.
Or Grant Morrison.
I think just to get a range of like not
superheroes,
just superheroes. I really like. I think I like looking at it from like a comic, like a writing standpoint. I think the Fable series is like really good.
Fables is really good.
Yeah. I think like just to get an idea that there's more to it than just superheroes.
Okay.
And it doesn't need to all be about that. that Fables would be a good one. Gives them a different theme. The art style is ridiculously amazing. It's somewhat cheesy, but it's still like a really like fucked up dark version of like these stories. And then from a horror standpoint, the first horror comic book that I read was Wake the Dead, which is a very short comic series on a group of 3 friends that try to bring their friend.
Oh, you told me about this.
Yeah, they try to bring their friend back to life by sewing together his dislocated head from when he hung himself with the bodies of a couple jocks that got in a car accident like the night before. And like the process of like, it's kind of like Frankenstein, where like, I can't be alive like this kind of thing. But it's a really fucked up comic book, and it's really great. And it's another one of those like jump in head first, like it's short, but it's like a shotgun hit. I think that's a good one if they want to get like a horror kind of view on comic books. But yeah, I think Fables would also be like a really good one just to get a range. Okay.
Another good one for a range. My dad just got the first collection of these.
Is that the name of the book? I'm joking. Go on.
These collection of like old EC comic stories, like their space stories and their horror stories. Yeah. EC Comics is a really good place to start out with if you want to go like non-mainstream comics. Yeah. Because those are some classic like horror stories, like the original Tales from the Crypt. Yeah. All those.
Right.
Stop messing with your microphone.
Oh, and a really obvious pick, new Miss Marvel.
Oh, right. Because I'm like obsessed with that lately.
Yeah. People love that comic, and people
also Hawkeye.
Yeah, Hawkeye's really good.
Yeah, that's
Daredevil.
But also, yeah, like Batman centric. Just for a minute, Long Halloween, Dark Victory, Batman Hush.
Hush is a good place to start.
Hush is a good place to start. Like in my top 10 Batman comics, I talk about like Hush isn't my number 1, but if you were trying to get someone into Batman comics, it's sort of like the single off of like someone's album that like you would have someone listen to get them into that band. Yeah. Like that's what Batman Hush is. Like you get them to read this and then they get into Batman.
Yeah.
Like all your friends who started listening to Gorillaz because of Feel Good Inc.
Exactly. But something I wanted to say was I think the best Marvel story, and I think it's pretty easy to get into, is because if you know generally like who these superheroes are, you'll understand this story, which is the Marvel Civil War event.
Oh, yeah.
And not just the main event. Like I really like the side stories as well. Like those are really, really good. So I would read that and then read right afterwards, just to show you. I think like if you want to get into comics, I think you need to understand how bad comics can get. I would read Marvel's Ultimatum, because that is like one of the worst events I've ever seen.
I would recommend, if you want to see how bad comics can get, All-Star Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
Because, boy. That is just the worst.
It's a fucking embarrassment for Batman fans everywhere.
However, I will say All-Star Batman and Robin is one of the funniest comics I've ever read because literally none of it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like not even the time, because it's like 2 weeks ago Dick Grayson disappeared and he's still in the car. And then like you get like their paint themselves yellow. Damn you and your lemonade. And this arcade belongs to the fucking Batgirl.
Yeah.
It is the funniest comic of all time.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty bad.
I love it. When all the issues come out, I want the full collection just to have it. Because it's hilarious to me.
And that's really all I have. I don't know if you guys have anything else to add before we finish up this episode.
Just to cut out, like, this isn't like a what to start off with, but pretty much of the only thing to get for Green Lantern is Blackest Night and Brightest, and like the mini like Brightest Day series, because I think that's like the only Green Lantern comic book run that is worth having.
I like Blackest Night, but it's like so steeped in like DC lore.
Yeah.
That it's like
true.
I read it and I'm like, what?
Yeah. But then again, I also see it as like one of those things. Like if you read this first and then read it again, it's going to be easier to remember all of these.
Kind of like Kingdom Come.
Yeah, it'll be easier to remember all of these characters when it comes to reading more material.
Okay.
Well, that's another one that's kind of like that, but like it's a really good place to start off with too. Kurt Busiek's Marvels, because it's all about like what would it be like for an average human living in the Marvel universe. So it's like a way to connect to all of these stories in some way, and I think it's a really great comic too.
All right, cool. Is that where you guys want to leave it?
I'd say so.
All right. Well, that was today's episode of Talking Shit. Henry brought in the topic of. So you want to get into comic books. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you liked our suggestions, you should like that like button down below. If you've read any of those comics so far, what have you thought about them? Do you think they're good suggestions? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if you liked our suggestions, again, share with your friends who might want to get into comics, and subscribe to our channel for possibly more comic suggestions. And if you want to reach out to us, usually Talking Shit is a topic-based talk show where one of us brings in a topic and talks some shit about that. So if you have a topic suggestion for Talking Shit, you can always tweet that topic at us at baiazonagamers. You can also tweet it at me personally at BenandlerChong. You can tweet Henry at Henrysaurus. And you can also tweet this guy, Ricky Baldazan, at Baldazan96. And then if you have any questions on how we sound so beautiful, how we look so fine, you can always reach our tech guy at 7Morse, but the O in Morse is a 0. You can check it in the description below. And also, if you don't have Twitter, you can also reach us on through email at baiazonagamers@gmail.com if you have any inquiries about the show, any topic suggestions, all that good stuff. And then you can also, if you want more BGG content, you can also check us out on SoundCloud. We've got a weekly podcast that goes up on there as well. So thank you so much for joining me today. And until next time, have a great day full of shit talking and, I don't know. What should they have a great day full of today?
Us in our videos.
No.
My hatred of Mark Miller.
No, that doesn't feel right. I feel like we should send it off on a good note, not a bad note. Have a great day full of shit talking and I'm the goddamn Batman.
Thought you wanted to end us on a good note.
My name is Barrett Courtney, and here joined with me... No. Sorry. Fuck you.